Vonage Developer Office Hours. I'm going to be giving you all kinds of information in just a second about what this is, what are some of the things to expect, and hopefully you can get something out of this session. But before I do so, I'm going to go ahead and want to introduce myself as well as a couple of DevRel folks that's on here to help us. So my name is Michael Crump. I am a member of the DevRel team here at Vonage. And today I am going to be walking you through different types of scenarios, listening to your questions, answering some questions about community building, and much, much more. And just in case you have some questions that stump me, which actually is pretty easy, I have two other of my colleagues here with me that will be helping me out. Let's pass it over to Benjamin. Benjamin, can you say hello and a little bit about yourself?
Hello, YouTube. My name is Benjamin Aronoff. I'm sitting in sunny New York City, and I am a developer advocate here at Vonage, working fearlessly with my colleagues Michael and Chris for the last 6 years. Um, and I do content stuff. So I like to do written content, events, workshops, a little bit of video content. And I do not have a cat, but now I'll pass it off to Chris with the cat.
I'll say, do you want a cat? I have three of them.
No, no,
Uh,
no, no, no. I had a miserable enough childhood.
Hello, Internet. My name is Chris Tankersley. I am on our developer relations tooling team. I have one cat who really desperately wants to be on screen now. So this is also spooky, though she's going to be just probably vocal to me. But anyway, yeah, I'm on our developer relations tooling team. So my team helps make a lot of our SDKs, our tools, all that kind of stuff. So I will be here to keep, I guess, Michael and Benjamin honest with any of their answers for any of the things that we want to talk about. So uh, yeah.
Excellent. Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Benjamin. So, I have just a few slides here, and let me go ahead and get that shared. So, give me just a moment here, and we'll walk through a few slides that I prepared in advance. So, let's go ahead and get this opened up, and we'll go into slideshow mode and give this a second. And here we are. Okay, so I just want to go ahead and make sure everybody is super well aware of what these are. So this is our very first Vonage Developer Office Hour. These are a 60-minute session that is structured in a way that really you can get a lot of additional help with live question and answers. And then especially if there's any sort of debugging, we have a couple of folks that's able to help with that. Obviously, this is hosted by DevRel, and really the key point from this is that this is hands-on learning. This is absolutely judgment-free. You will find that this stream will be very, very much conversational. We want to have a conversation, just talk about some cool stuff. So nothing too professional, but really very practical. So I'm going to give you some tips if we have some time where maybe there isn't any questions, and really just kind of go through some of the queue of questions that I've had folks ask me while I've been in and about at the booth. Now, first off, just to kick things off with a little bit of welcome and housekeeping here, there's two kind of goals that I had here. The main one is that what this is about, this is an option to participate. And when I say participate, it's definitely in the sense of live Q&A, debugging, getting support from a DevRel team. It absolutely is not a place to escalate issues. So participate, not escalate, is kind of the mantra that I've been sticking to here. So when I say escalate, this absolutely is not a place to push support tickets. While we will have support staff on some of these with us, we definitely don't want to just simply go through support tickets, as there's already work streams that is happening there, things like production outages. I know it sounds very, very simple and very basic, but I do always want to put that out there, as well as any sort of like SLA bound issues. You can think of us as your friendly team that you can come to with questions, and we will help you with that. So, how to join? Well, you're already here, which is you've already done the hardest part. So, the next thing that you'll need to do is to make sure you drop questions down in the live chat below. So, myself, Chris, and Benjamin are all monitoring the chat. So, as we're walking through some of this, don't forget to drop some questions down in there. As far as the recording of this goes, all of the recordings are going to live on our Vonage Dev YouTube channel. So all of these will be available there. With that, we probably will also take some different cuts of these streams, especially when they've been very helpful. And there's bits and pieces of information that kind of makes a highlight reel where you will be able to come back and maybe see a clip of maybe a tip in a dashboard or something of that nature. And then again, for all urgent issues, there is the Vonage support portal that you can head over to, and you can get those logged because we obviously want to make sure that any sort of production or support tickets or things of that nature are still handled by that appropriate team. Okay, so if you want to look at the show, right now it's kind of designed in a way that we have an 8 weeks of weekly um, a question and answers available for you. So this one is the very first one that we're doing, as you might have heard. So today, May the 12th, 10 a.m. is our US session, but also we have sessions built in for those of us that's in the UK. So May 19th. And then aside of not just having US UK related time zone sessions, we also have our startup person. Her name is Autumn, that's going to be joining us for two specific startup questions. So while you may be watching this or checking this out later, do keep in mind that if you have some folks or have some friends that's doing startup related work, you maybe want to see what Vonage has to offer. You absolutely can do that in the two startup sessions on May 26th and June the 23rd. Now, with that being said, we look forward to seeing you at some of these, and hopefully there's one of these that is accessible to you and that you are free. The next quick thing that I wanted to talk about was just a bit of a sessions at a glance. So this is 3 segments. It's typically in 1 hour. Our welcome and housekeeping takes about the first 15 minutes. Then right after that is going to be the live QA and problem solving. And then we're going to wrap up and we're going to stay connected. Now, if there isn't a certain number of questions, which I think I'm shooting for about 3 questions within the first 10 to 15 minutes, that we are going to try some different segments to keep things very interesting here. So, like a live first API call walkthrough, and then other things in here like our question backlog. You may just want to be hearing what's other people asking, what's some of the questions that's coming around. You may also want to know just really what's new at Vonage, what's some of the cool things that we've been working on. And then, of course, a community segment here where maybe you don't have any problems, or maybe we've answered all of the issues that folks have. And we just want to talk about what are you building next. So we have a session for that. Now, before we jump into the very first section, I do want to play a quick video here that the DevRel team has been working on, which tells you a little bit about welcome to our Vonage developer video. And if we can go ahead and get that queued and played now, Lucinda, then that would be absolutely fantastic. So pause for a second and we'll see if we can get this video running for you. And I'm going to stop screen sharing here. And now that should work.
Welcome to the Vonage Developer YouTube channel. Vonage developers build and maintain a suite of programmable communications APIs that enable individuals and businesses to embed real-time voice, video, messaging, and authentication features into their applications and workflows. Vonage developers support advanced use cases with network-powered APIs for enhanced security and rich communication services. Just plug in our APIs and let us do the hard work for you. The Vonage developer community is here to help you integrate powerful features into your apps fast. From hands-on tutorials via the Vonage developer blog to rich developer documentation, migration guides, and deep dive video walkthroughs, we make learning communication APIs fun and accessible. Whether you're coding solo or part of a big team, we've got SDKs for every stack: JavaScript, Python, PHP, and more. And if you ever get stuck, our docs, blogs, and global Slack developer community are just one click away. If you need something urgent, we also have 24/7 dedicated support to help you get on your way. So if you're ready to build something amazing, subscribe to stay updated with the latest content. And don't forget to join our Slack to connect with developers worldwide. You bring the ideas, Vonage brings the tools. Whatever you want to build, Vonage does that.
Excellent. Okay, great. Well, I hope that video was a little bit helpful there, as it talked a little bit about all of the things that we have been up to. So I'm going to go ahead and bring back up the slide deck that we have here today, and we're going to open up the floor to any sort of questions. And so now is obviously the time, if you would like to drop your questions down in the section below. And so, first off, it looks like we're going to get started here with an onboarding question. So it says, where do I even start with the Vonage APIs? Okay, great. So the first thing here is that we are going to, let me minimize this screen here and let me get us back to our dashboard. Okay, so the question here is, how do I even get started with using Vonage and the Vonage APIs? Well, the very first thing that you would want to do is go over, let me start a new tab here, and let's go to developer.vonage.com. And I think I might already be signed in, so let's see here if that is correct or not. Okay, so once you head over to the developer.vonage.com, hopefully that you all can see that. Up in the upper right hand corner, there is a login here. Maybe my image is over it. I can't determine if my little image is on top of this, but you'll see that we have these little drop down box, and so you can log in to the dashboard. And so once you sign up, you will walk through a series of questions. And after you complete those questions, you'll have access to the Vonage API dashboard, which looks just like this right here. So let me check. Audio levels seem to be a little low. I might try speaking up a little bit just in case if anybody's got any problems with the audio. I'll try speaking up a little bit louder. Okay, so how you get started, you go to developer.vonage.com and you sign up for an account. And by the way, when you sign up for an account, you do not have to put in things like credit card information, which is really, really nice, an easy way to kind of get onboarded. And the next thing was, how do I get started with these? So once you sign up and you create a free account, from here, you can go ahead and begin trying our different APIs. Now, since we're already in the dashboard here, I thought maybe I should stop here just for a moment and take a quick give everybody a quick lap around the dashboard, since that might be helpful and since that's one of the pending questions that we have. So let me go ahead and begin with that. So once you log in to the dashboard, you're going to get dashboard.vonage.com. So obviously up here at the top, you can do things like searching for help. But where most people is going to want to go is going to be right over here into the API secret management. So again, as soon as you create a Vonage developer account, you typically would want to come back over here into the API settings and then go ahead and get your API key and your secret. So here is where those are stored at. One thing to note is that when you were creating an account, if you did not write down your key secret at that point, you are going to have to regenerate a brand new secret. in order to use this again. So that's one thing I found. Some people, I'm going to throw out some tips and tricks, especially if there's not a whole pile of questions in here, just to give people a little bit more information. But I see that happening all the time. Folks, they set up an account, they don't note their API key secret, they go on about their day. 2 months goes by, and in this case, yes, I created this one in 2022. So I've been here for a little while, and yeah, I'm still using it. So you would come right over here to create a secret. So once we do that, let me just give you a little bit more of a tour. So you might want to come here first. This is again where you can download that and generate a new one if you need to. There is this other section here, which is on the platform status summary. So if you're looking for a bit of a way that you can see how is all of the services that Vonage is currently providing doing. So you can come right here. We're just going to open that in a new tab. I think it does that automatically, but it's all right here. If you want to know what is our what's the latest, what's happening, is there anything scheduled, is there anything down? So right over here, we can see that it is just at vonageapi.statuspage.io. Looks like there is tracking that's coming from something I have internally. But here you could see, okay, in Australia, this is going on. This one is going on for the UK. Everything else, we're looking at green, setting around 100% and a 99.9% uptime, which is really cool. And you can also pull in things like historical uptime if you want to do that. Now, one thing that I tell folks is that there is a way to easily subscribe to these updates if you want to. So you can come right in here to subscribe to updates. And let's say maybe anytime there's a status change, you maybe want to come in here and you want to punch in your email. As you can see, it's autofilling mine in here. So yes, if you need to email me, there's my email. You could subscribe and get it through that. But what I found more helpful is that there is also an RSS feed. Yes, I am super old. Atom feeds and RSS, that is absolutely the way that I have that I do things. I still use RSS feeds to look at different blog posts. So you can do things like pull in different RSS feeds for that. Some of the other things, since we're kind of doing a little bit of a dashboard tour here, other things here is for your account. You can see in this account that I logged into, which I noticed a little bit later on that I don't have as much prior history data for you all to check out here, but in these, you can add different funds into this. And so here, for example, it tells me what my balance currently is, and you can do things like add in funds. What's kind of really neat is that you can do low balance alerts. So if you did have a very low balance, maybe you set it, for 5 or something like that, before it runs out, and that API stops, maybe sending SMS messages or so forth, then you would get an alert for that. So it says receives an email when your balance drops below a threshold. So it's pretty nice and pretty easy that you can come in here and you can do that. As well as another thing that's really super important is being able to come back over here into the download usage and then pulling the usage for that month. Now, you may be thinking or you may be saying, okay, well, I have to go to the dashboard. Well, you don't have to. Obviously, all of these things can be pulled programmatically, which is a more of a standard workflow, especially when you have to provide these sort of reports over to things like accounting and finance and all of those other type of groups. While we're in here, there is a section right over here for coupons. And the reason that I'm mentioning coupons is that there is a coupon code that we are offering and available for those of you that have stopped by to check out this chat. We will be putting that coupon code probably in the chat and letting people take advantage of that. Obviously, it won't live in the recording just because I think it'd be a little bit easier for people so we can understand what all of your different types of needs are. So anyways, we do have a coupon that is available for some extra credit on that. So let me go back to the main dashboard. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these options. I am going to try to pick out a few more that's very specific. Some of the other ones that I want to call out is that besides things like in here, like monitor, where you can monitor for like your different types of logs. So when you send SMS messages or other sorts of voice, etc., you can come in and you can take a look at the logs and the analytics. You can also be able to do things like troubleshoot, which maybe we'll have a question on that one a little bit later on. But the other section that I think a lot of people will be very interested in is over here in this build section here. So in the build section, just so you're very much aware, if you go over to the applications, from here, this is where you can start building and creating new applications. Now, I've got all kinds of random applications that I've been fooling with over the last couple of years in here, and so none of these are probably uh, too much to show you. But if we go in and we create an application, this is where, let's say, if we give it a friendly name here of, you know, Vonage. Um, I'll just say Vonage live stream today. And we go down into the capabilities. Here is where we could do things like turn on different capabilities, such as messages. So, for messages, for example, we may want to communicate with WhatsApp and all of these other things. Here, we can turn this on and we can put in our inbound and outbound URL, or inbound and our status URL. And if we want to use maybe a video APIs in this application, we can also just simply come in here and we can just turn these on as well. So here's all the different callbacks. And then this one more specific towards, recording storage, but the applications is where you build those. Now, not all applications needs to have one of these, for example. So let's go back to that initial question of getting started. And so let me go to messaging, and let's just go to this top one here. So don't want to do that. I want to cancel without saving, and let's go into this one. Okay, so as far as the second question here is, how easy is it to send messages or to start working with it? Well, I'll just tell you this. I am a long-term like Visual Studio, VS Code kind of person, and so I love my .NET. And if you're wondering why did this default to .NET, that's because when I originally signed up for that Vonage developer account, I selected .NET as my primary language. So whichever language that you pick when you first sign up, you will have that all throughout. So from here, this is if we just wanted to try out one of them. The SMS is absolutely like the easiest. So the first thing that you'll note is that if you scroll down into this, you'll see it says try it out with code. And so here it's given a bit of information going back to that API secret. Y'all may remember just a few moments ago when we went in here and we went to the API secret management. That's exactly where it's making sure that you head over to. And so next up, it's as far as getting started with this, at least in my language, it is installing this package right here. So this is the Vonage SDK. And just so you're very well aware is that for really whatever programming language that is your favorite, more than likely there is an SDK that is available for that. As Chris mentioned at the beginning, Chris's wonderful team is building out all of these SDKs. So it's built in-house, it's built by DevRel, and absolutely for developers. So in this instance, I'm really just pulling down this package. And so I'm going to kind of speak in the .NET world. So maybe like a NuGet package and things of that nature, you would be able to add in the dependencies. Now, once we have in the dependencies here, this is saying create a file called send sms.cs. So this right here is just a file. Maybe we're thinking here a console application, which a console app would be the easiest for that. And then right here is all of the code that you would need in order to run that. So again, once you pull down this Vonage library, then you have access to all these different types of methods, and you would be able to call it and really send a message asynchronously, which is obviously the proper standard, um, and to, from, and then a text message. And in this instance, you can just use a .NET run if you're using the .NET command line, or of course you could run the project in Visual Studio. Now I'm calling this one out, but there's obviously lots more. Maybe you want the simplest, easiest example ever, and that would be absolutely using curl. One of the things that we pride ourselves in is that pretty much anywhere that you can run a post request, then you will be able to get back some data or be able to call an API. So if we wanted just to run this sample here, you could come up and take this code, this curl code, and of course you would need to supply your Vonage API secret. So I showed you where to kind of get that. Right there is the API key, and then this would be the secret, and paste this in. And obviously you could just run this with bash or with uh, uh, or however you would like to run that, and then you will get the response back that says that it has been completed successfully. Now the last thing, and we'll switch to another question here, the last thing that you can do with this is obviously you could just come back in here to the try it out, and here it's already got a from number, and this is a number that I registered with the account, and so I could go to hello with Vonage, and then I could just send this message. Now one thing I did notice, that before this account that I've got won't show this working, but trust me, it will work as soon as you hit the send message on a new account. I've had some changes to this account, which is why this one's not working. Okay, so let's see here. So here is the next one. What's the difference between the API key and the secret and a JWT? So in my opinion on this one, the API key and the secret, which we go back over to right here, and actually while we're in here, I might want to talk about this in just a second. These are used, or the API key and secrets are used for most of the REST calls, so like SMS, verify, JWT, or JSON web tokens. I think we talked JWTs called a lot of different things. That's required for like voice API, and there's some other features. Basically, it's a signed token that's generated from your application ID and your private key. The docs have JWT generation guides in every major language, and we even have a little page that you can go to if you're wanting to implement JWTs or use JWTs in your application. Let's see here. So let's see. Um, let's go to, sometimes I'm getting a 401 unauthorized. What's wrong? Okay, so if you're getting 401 unauthorized, a couple of things that could be wrong with that. The very first one is a wrong API key or a secret. This happens all the time. You might have been in here and maybe you're using an API key secret that is old. So you could always come back in here and just regenerate a new one. Obviously, if you do regenerate a new one, then what happens is that old one will no longer be acceptable there. So just do keep that in mind if you do happen to do that. The second thing for 401 unauthorized is probably using an API key authentication where JWT is required or vice versa. And then I would say probably the third thing on that one would be an expired JWT, so an expired token. So I would always, with all of those, I would double check which auth method is found inside the documentation, which is something I know we haven't looked at just yet. But if I go back over to the developer.vonage.com and we go to our top level now, this would probably be a good segment for me to go ahead and show you a few other quick things while I'm in here. And that is that first off, we have our documentation, and just looking at this little toolbar kind of up here at the top, we have our documentation that's right up here at the top. So if you go into the documentation, a couple of kind of cool things that kind of comes out of this is that once you get into it and let this finish loading, there is an Ask AI section that you can also take advantage of. So maybe you've just landed in our documentation and you're looking at, whoa, that's a lot of stuff. You know, you got your SIM swap, your device swap, you've got your messaging over here. If you do run into some questions, you can always come right here to this kappa.ai bot here, and you can ask it a question. And now what I also tell folks is that not only can you come in here and you can ask it questions, but if you go back over to the main, our main dashboard here, and we scroll down just a little bit, there is an Ask AI that is inside of the tool. So here is an example that I was actually playing with a little bit earlier. So let me go back to Ask AI, and now I'm going to change this one out. How do I receive an SMS message using Node.js? Maybe I spelt everything correctly, and we'll give this just a second here. So what this will do is that this will allow you, it's powered by the same thing, the kappa.ai. This will go ahead and spin it up for you to take advantage of. So I thought this was pretty nice to kind of have this inside of the tool. Obviously, you know, you could come back over, since this one was just using SMS, you could come back over to the send an SMS, and we do have a node command here. So you could just come back in and go to node, install the library, and be able to generate the JavaScript file here, and then just simply run it. So yeah, there's a lot of different ways to do that. So for the documentation, we just went into this one. I showed you a little tip here that you could try out with the Ask AI in case you wanted to. But while we're in here, I thought it might be nice to let you know that there is a couple of interesting like tutorials in here. So sending Viber messages, WhatsApp messages. Down here in the bottom, you can also run this in Postman, which I think is absolutely amazing. So obviously we've been doing quite a bit of content on Postman. We have our Vonage developer YouTube channel where we've been talking about that for some time. So you do have the ability that you can try out and troubleshoot some of these. Let me go back over to the main page here. And I think the next question was, where do we get more pre-built, pre-baked solutions? So let's take a look at that question. So next up, let's go over here. We're on the main page. And so where I would suggest, there is this one right here. It's called tutorials, that is underneath the that is underneath more resources here. And so there's a couple of different places that you can go to get some kind of like little samples that's up and working. Since that was asked, I'll go through and I'll show maybe 2 or 3 of those real quick, and then I'll try to move on to a few other things. The hour goes quick when there is lots to talk about. So the next thing is right over here. So here are the tutorials. Let me make sure that is loading properly. That looks really good. So from here, we have a bunch of samples that's already kind of built in. And I need to make sure, but I believe we've got samples for pretty much every single language that you could possibly pick from. So this is one place that you can pick from things. I'm kind of laughing because there's a few places that I know that these have started, we started putting these over the years. So here is an example. And what's really great is that each one of these will kick you back over into the tutorials. And there is lots more learning path related work that's coming out. But this is exactly what you have for today's call is that if you want to maybe run through that sample, the smart numbers IVR, you can do that. You can, this one we selected JavaScript, so you can come in here and you can go and get a little bit of an introduction about the task and some GitHub projects that you can go ahead and clone and get up and running with this. Now there is that one, and let's go back to the main page, and then there was also this one over here, which is which has some samples that you might want to just check out. This is a product that we've had for quite some time, and if we let this one load up, then you can see there's a couple of different options that you might want to select. I'm trying to remember which one that I worked on, but I worked on one of these either for Node or for something. And what was kind of neat, at least with this, is that you would be able to bring up environment that already has that and get started super quickly. Okay, let's go back to the top level navigation here and just making sure I don't have anything else pending. So let's see. So the top level navigation, we talked about documentation in the SDKs and tools. We've got SDK and tools. This is where all of the great SDKs that we've been working on is laid out here. So if you take a look, here is the client SDKs, as well as we've got the server SDKs. And then another one that is near and dear to my heart is obviously the Vonage CLI. And so I had a post that might be interesting. And let me bring that up over here. I have a bit of a post that uh, we that might be helpful that I'll make sure I leave a link to, where it's basically it's a while back that I wrote it, but it's basically a little bit how I was using GitHub and the Vonage CLI together with that. Anyways, Chuck, who is a great maintainer of that, is on, I think he's on this call. So anyways, thanks and shout out to Chuck for that. I know more work is being done on it. And then we have a bunch of our other libraries that's available there, including a couple of our video libraries. Right now, there's obviously a deal going on for video users where I think there is the 100,000 video test minutes that's currently available. We'll make sure we give out some links we'll make sure we give out links to all of these sort of things in case you want to take advantage of the video related stuff. Okay, let me take a quick peek here. Okay, so the next thing here that I'm seeing is how about setting up team members? How do you configure and how do you work with different team members in Vonage? Okay, so back over on the Vonage API dashboard here, there is a little section and it is called Add Team Members. It says our permission system makes collaboration easy. So if you click on this link, and I think I'm giving a good answer here. Um, this one, I do not have anybody invited, but there is another account where I can switch into, but just let me talk about it. You can come right here, and this is where you would invite a team member. So if I just go ahead and fill this out for myself, for example, that's pretty much the only required fields, like one or two of these things. Here is where it can get interesting. So before you invite a team member to this, and you're going to be assigning them an API key in just a second, just so you know, you can check or uncheck some of these. Now, what we've done at Vonage as the default is that we have went ahead and we have turned some of these completely off. So things like unable to manage third-party connections, unable to manage API settings, and then unable to manage other members. Those are already checked by default. But what you would want to do in yours application is that you would want to make sure that you come back and go through these and make sure that you're not giving them too much privilege, especially when there's a bill that's going to be coming in at the end of the month. You don't want them to have too much stuff. Now, the next thing is assigning them a key. So this is the key that I have for my, or this is not a key. This is my this is the API ID number, and so, or the master key. This one is automatically checked by default. Now, if you did have multiple APIs installed in here, well, you could go ahead and you could put a check mark on those, and then finally you could hit the save button here, and you could get them added. You could get them added back in to your system. Um, Excellent. I hope that helped on that one. Um, Next question. What's the difference between the SMS API and the messages API? Yeah, I thought I should talk about that one just a second ago. So let me go back over here to the API secret management, and let me scroll down here and give you a little bit more information. So um, the way that it kind of goes is that we have an SMS API, which is kind of the classic, really the simplest way to receive and send SMS messages and so forth. Now, the messages API is what I always refer to as kind of our unified channel. So, all the goodness of SMS, but things like WhatsApp. WhatsApp is dominating everywhere. Other good things, RCS, Rich Communication Services, Viber, and now there is email, which is closed beta. So I will say this for your brand new projects today that you're spinning up, the Messages API is absolutely the way to go, 100%. So if we take a look, going back to the API settings that we were on just a second ago, and we go to messaging API type, you'll see that right off the bat that it says, okay, API type, please choose which one you want to use, messages or SMS. So here it has it stated here, this one's not compatible with new channels like RCS and WhatsApp. This one says we recommend it. So kind of just like I said with the teammates that you're adding in, absolutely every one of these is we're trying to watch your back and set you up with our recommended settings. So if you're wanting to do WhatsApp, you don't even have to go and configure this, but still a very good question. And I'll end that one, or end that question with, I would just leave it on messages API. As you can see, this is actually one of my main accounts, but I have about 8 Vonage developer accounts. But yeah, at least in this account, you can see, yeah, it's defaulted to messages. Let's see what else we have here. Um, what is RCS and when should I use it versus SMS? That's a really good question. So yeah, that's tying off of that last question about SMS and Messages API. So the way I like to think about it is that RCS allows you to do things like send in branded messages. So we all know that today there is, if you use iPhones or you use some of these other up to date phones, there is like really cool images. There is videos. There is buttons. There's even the little three dots as people start typing. So a lot of the very rich messaging comes with RCS, but also you can do things like a verified sender identity. So what that means is that you might have, some of you might have used things like Apple and iPhone, where when you buy something from the Apple store, it kicks back and you see a little branded icon that says Apple. Well, you can do that same exact thing right now with us. Actually, Benjamin, that is on the call here today, had worked with making a Vonage branded one where it shows the little Vonage logo when you send the messages out. This is very, very, very important right now because we're literally at a time where people are sending all kinds of fake messages and people want to validate who that person is that's sending it. So another thing that it also comes with is a little verified check mark. So I know we all kind of get used to the little verified check marks from the Twitter days and so forth, but it also comes with that. And yeah, pretty easy stuff to kind of get up and running for that. So yeah, I don't know if that content is out there, but maybe if so, Benjamin can drop a link into the chat below of where that URL is at, and we'll find a good way to make sure that you get all of these different types of messages here. So let me give it a second and let's see if we've got any other questions that's coming through here. So one is, this was easy. How to expose my local webhook for testing. I personally have been using ngrok for all of that. I'm not exactly 100% sure if that is uh, I'm not 100% sure if that's the one that everybody else on the team has also been using, but ngrok has been my default. You do have to sign up with them now. I will state that. In the past, you didn't have to, but now I do believe it requires you to do a one-time sign up, and yeah, I think it's got sign up, sign in on that. So ngrok is one of those. What this does is basically it creates a public tunnel to your local host. So then you could do things like, let's say, for example, maybe you want to open up uh, HTTP at port 3000. You would type in ngrok HTTP and then 3000 or whatever port you decide to go to. A lot of people use 8080 and some other ones, but 3000 is the default. You copy the HTTPS URL, and then that is where you would come in and you would paste that into your webhook. So as we were back over here just a second ago, and we'll go into applications, and we will, here, I'll just create a new application, and let's go over here to messages. This right here is where you would go ahead and you would add in the webhook URL. One thing to note though on that before I move forward is that in ngrok, the URL changes each and every time. When you're on the free account, there is a paid account, but that one, the paid account does not change the URL, but I'm using the free one because that is what I do. Um, let's see here. So I think we're getting just about to the end of the top top questions. So let's see here. So let me do this just for the quick moment or two. I'm going to go over to the blog and let me go ahead and highlight one or two items, and then we will get ready to wrap up for the day today. So let's go over to the blog here. And let me just show some info, some of the latest stuff that's recently been coming out. So first off, there was a new post that came out for Laravel tooling. It just dropped today, thanks to Jim. This is a update to a blog post that I wrote about 3 years ago, where I had some of the different types of tips and tricks for PHP Laravel users. This is a great post by Jim. Jim was just on the official Laravel YouTube channel like a week or two ago. He's still on there. If you want to go check it out, you can see his talk there where he talks about all the work that he's doing at Vonage, presented there at the Laravel, which is a pretty big deal. We had a couple of other posts that's been coming through here for our audio connector SDK, for a couple of other ones from general ideas on what's WebSockets and how are they different. Zero tap verification for WhatsApp has recently come through here, and some more work with Google Cloud Run. We have quite a bit of stuff on Google Cloud, and then especially for Firebase users. So if you are in that camp, this could be very helpful for you. And then some great work here from Julia of building a voice proxy with PHP and Vonage. And then, of course, we do have our YouTube channel, which I would highly recommend that you all check out. And that one, I'm just going to post this, bring you over to this page really quickly. And this is our current site. And so here you can see we've had a number of different videos that's recently been released. And then also with these, we've started doing these posts where we ask the community questions. So if you do want to stay engaged with us, absolutely check this out. And even some little quizzes in there that Alex from the team has been building on. Definitely would highlight all of these. These are all good videos. For .NET folks, this one was a great one. It's called the Builder Pattern in Vonage's .NET SDK. Okay, well, that was a jammed-packed session. I feel like I did not even get to so many of the other things that I had on the list, but I believe we will call it a day on that one. So let me go ahead and transition over to the wrap-up post. So first off, thanks for joining us today. Absolutely hope people get to check out the live stream and maybe bits of this that we cut up and make it a little bit easier. Absolutely, we want to keep the conversation going. You have a question, you want to share what you're building, please let us know. We have got a couple of different methods that I dropped on this slide on how you can stay in touch with us. Number one, we have the Vonage Developer Newsletter. This is a newsletter that goes out every month, and it describes all of the great, not just content, but events and great SDK or tooling work that we're currently doing. Signing up for the newsletter is absolutely easy. If you come back over to the Vonage developer site here, and you'll see up at the very top, there is a let's get this one going. Oh, I think I might have closed that dialog, but there is a dialog box that is signing up for the developer newsletter, which is definitely one of the most helpful things. We can also drop it into the link. There we go. A link is in the show note, is in the chat below. Next up, we have a couple of different socials. X, LinkedIn, and then of course YouTube, where you can check us out on that one. Okay, well, with that being said, I think we have completed everything that we wanted to get to. In some of the next episodes that we're going to be doing. There's some things that I have top of mind for that one. Number one, we're going to be going through the MCP tooling server, talking about what all that it can do, especially with being able to do things like calling Vonage's APIs, directly. Things like, we might talk about we'll be talking about the email API stuff, silent authentication, advanced. We've got some GA stuff for identity insights that will be on the channel. So, anyways, there is a lot of cool and amazing things to come. So, anyways, don't forget to check us out and keep this page bookmarked, because we're going to be back every single week for the next little bit, and hopefully we can answer more questions live and help you be more successful as a developer. I think that is it for this one, and just want to say thanks, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye bye, everyone.